Mark Zuckerberg, you've been served.
Excuse us, sir.
You've been served.
His company Meta deliberately designed Instagram to addict children. And before he got through the door, a process server stepped forward, looked him in the eye, and handed him a stack of papers saying, "You got served."
You want to know why Mark Zuckerberg is suddenly sweating under oath in a Los Angeles courtroom? Because the story he sold the world for 15 years is crashing into his own internal emails. This is not about vibes. This is not about feelings. This is about documents, numbers, timelines, and a jury of regular Americans staring at the man who built Instagram and asking one simple question. Did you know what you were doing to kids?
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg taking the stand as they claim that they use social media to addict, obviously deliberately harm children.
This trial did not come out of nowhere. A 20-year-old woman identified in court as KGM says she started using Instagram when she was just 9 years old. 9. The platform's own rules say users must be at least 13. Yet she says she was pulled in early, stayed glued to it, and developed depression, anxiety, and body image issues as a teenager. That is not a glitch. That is a pattern being argued in court.
The boss of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, has taken the stand in a landmark court case in Los Angeles to face accusations that his company's social media platforms cause addiction.
And this is not just one family. This case is a bellwether for more than 1,000 lawsuits. In some filings, the number climbs past 2,200 related cases waiting in line. School districts from Maryland to Arizona to Georgia are suing too. They claim they spent millions on counseling and mental health resources because students were spiraling while scrolling. Think about that. Public schools saying a social media app contributed to a youth mental health crisis. How does a company ignore that? So Zuckerberg walks into court for the first time to testify before a jury about Instagram's impact on kids. Not Congress, not a friendly tech conference, a jury, under oath. And what is at the center of this storm? Internal documents, his own company's paperwork.
Zuck got served walking into the trial where he was already being sued. That image, that perfect moment on the courthouse steps, tells you everything you need to know.
Let's talk about the first bombshell. In 2015, an internal Meta review estimated that more than 4 million children under the age of 13 were already on Instagram. 4 million. That is not a rounding error. That is not one or two bad actors. That is a system-wide reality. Instagram's minimum age was 13, but millions of younger kids were already there.
Zuckerberg was part of a group of CEOs 2 years ago who testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the potential dangers of social media, at one point turning around and apologizing to parents whose children had been harmed.
When Zuckerberg was pressed about this, his answer was simple. Kids lie about their age. That was the defense. Kids lie. So let me ask this. If you run a $1 trillion company with some of the most advanced data tools on Earth, are you telling me the only thing standing between millions of children and your platform is a drop-down menu asking for a birth year? That is the safeguard?
Specifically Instagram and Google's YouTube were deliberately designed to be addictive, engineered to hook children, keep them scrolling, and profit from the wreckage, just like tobacco.
There was also an internal email that said, and I am paraphrasing the spirit of it, if we want to win big with teens, we must bring them in as tweens. Tweens. 11, 12-year-olds. That language did not come from a random intern. It came from inside the company. And now in court, that phrase is being read out loud in front of a jury. So when Zuckerberg says safety was always a priority, the obvious question is this. Why were your teams strategizing about pulling in kids before they were even allowed to be there? The lawyers also dug into age enforcement. Evidence showed that Meta had age limits that were often unenforced. Different policies across Facebook and Instagram, weak systems, inconsistent follow-through. And yet, the platform kept growing. The user numbers kept climbing. The ad revenue kept rising. Funny how that works?
Did Mark Zuckerberg defend himself staunchly today?
Yeah, so Zuckerberg took the witness stand and he was getting kind of testy with the plaintiff's lawyer, saying things like, I think you're taking my words out of context. No, I don't remember that email. You're asking me about things I said or wrote 10 years ago.
Then came the engagement data. This is where it gets even more uncomfortable. An internal meta document projected that average time spent on Instagram would grow from 40 minutes per day in 2023 to 46 minutes per day in 2026. 6 more minutes a day per user. That does not sound dramatic until you multiply it by hundreds of millions of users. That is billions of extra minutes, billions of extra ad impressions.
Zuckerberg said, and this is his actual testimony under oath, there are kids who lie about their age in order to use the services.
Zuckerberg tried to draw a line between goals and milestones. He said these were milestones, not goals. Let me ask you something. If you project that your users will spend more time on your app and you expect that to happen if you do good work, what exactly is that? If it looks like a goal, acts like a goal, and drives revenue like a goal, what should we call it?
The CEO was pressed on why the company was slow to deactivate minors' Instagram accounts. He responded, quote, I always wish we could have gotten there sooner. I don't think we identified every single person who tried to get around restrictions, but you're implying we weren't trying to work on it, and that is not true.
There was also evidence from Instagram leadership about explicit time on platform targets. Time spent was treated as a key metric. Of course it was. More time means more ads. More ads mean more money. That is the business model. So when Zuckerberg tells the court that engagement is just a proxy for user experience, I have to ask, experience for who? The kid staring at a screen for hours? Or the shareholder reading quarterly earnings? And let's not pretend the design was accidental. Push notifications, endless scroll, likes, filters, all engineered to keep you moving your thumb. You do not reach billions of users by chance, you build systems to hold attention. The plaintiff's lawyers argue that those systems were designed in ways that made young users especially vulnerable.
And I think Zuckerberg's message to the jury was, here's a lawyer trying to lawyer me. He's trying to catch me in a gotcha moment, and I'm not going to let him do it. Meanwhile, the plaintiff's lawyer was really trying to show the jury that from the top down at Meta, there was a strategy to find and to addict young people to Facebook and Instagram.
One dramatic moment in court involved a 30-foot banner filled with images from the plaintiff's Instagram account. Filters, edited selfies, beautified faces. The lawyer asked Zuckerberg to look at it, to really look at it. That image was not just about one girl. It was about what the platform encourages, what it rewards, what it amplifies. So here we are, a company that knew millions of underage kids were on its platform as early as 2015. Internal discussions about pulling in tweens, projected increases in daily screen time from 40 to 46 minutes, age rules that were loosely enforced, engagement treated as a core metric. And now the CEO stands in court saying it is all more complicated than that.
And I think Zuckerberg's message to the jury was, here's a lawyer trying to lawyer me. He's trying to catch me in a gotcha moment, and I'm not going to let him do it. Meanwhile, the plaintiff's lawyer was really trying to show the jury that from the top down at Meta, there was a strategy to find and to addict young people to Facebook and Instagram.
Is it complicated, Mark? Or is it simple? You built a machine that rewards attention. You watched it grow. You saw the numbers, you read the emails, and now a jury is reading them too. That is the secret. Not that social media can be addictive. We all knew that. The secret is what the company knew, when it knew it, and what it chose to prioritize anyway. This trial is just getting started, but the first 4 chapters already tell a clear story. Millions of kids, internal targets, engagement growth, and a CEO trying to explain why none of it means what it obviously means. That is why this moment matters. Because for once, the scroll stopped, and someone asked the man at the top to answer for it.
The plaintiff's attorney, Mark Lanier, cited a review from inside Meta that estimated more than 4 million children under the age of 13 were already using Instagram in 2015. The plaintiff started using Instagram at just age 9.
Now we get to the part that makes this case impossible to brush off as just another lawsuit. Because once the internal numbers were exposed, once the time targets were laid out in front of a jury, the focus shifted to something even more uncomfortable: the features, the design, the choices that turned a simple photo sharing app into something far more powerful. Let's talk about the mechanics of it.
And when Lanier pressed Zuckerberg about how millions of underage children ended up on a platform that requires users to be 13, Zuckerberg said, and this is his actual testimony under oath, "There are kids who lie about their age in order to use the services."
Push notifications that light up your screen at just the right moment. Infinite scroll that never gives you a stopping point. Likes that arrive in unpredictable bursts. Beauty filters that reshape faces in seconds. None of this happened by accident. These are deliberate design decisions. And in court, lawyers argued that these features were built in ways that made young users especially vulnerable. Meta's own internal experts had already studied these filters. They concluded that beauty filters could harm kids' perceptions of their own bodies. They saw the risk. They flagged it. For a time, the company pulled some of the most extreme filters, and then they brought them back. Why? Free expression, Zuckerberg said.
The social media companies accountable and change the way they operate. Peter Bowes, BBC News, Los Angeles.
Free expression for who? A 13-year-old comparing her real face to an algorithmically perfected version of herself? That is the line of defense? If your own safety team says something may harm kids and you shut it down and then you restore it anyway? What message does that send? The pattern is not subtle. Harm identified, engagement measured, feature restored. And while all of this was being dissected in court, Zuckerberg's performance on the stand did not help his case. Reporters described him as flat, stoic, occasionally testy. He pushed back. He said emails were being taken out of context. He said lawyers were trying to catch him in gotcha moments. He insisted that Meta had evolved. Commentators were blunt. In the court of public opinion, he failed. That phrase came up more than once. He might still win legally. The burden of proof is high. The plaintiff must show direct harm. But outside that courtroom, the damage is already spreading. And this is not just about one young woman. This is about scale.
4 million kids under 13, 9 years old. And the response from the man who built the platform and made $1 trillion from it is just, kids lie.
More than 2,200 lawsuits are waiting behind this case. Families across the country. School districts claiming they had to spend millions on mental health resources because students were consumed by social media. This is being treated as a bellwether trial, a test case. If a jury sides with the plaintiff, the financial consequences for Meta could be enormous.
A 20-year-old woman identified as KGM in court documents, who says she started using Instagram at 9 years old. By the time she was a teenager, she developed anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia. And her case is the bellwether, the test case.
Governments are watching too. Australia has moved toward banning social media access for younger teens. States like Florida have introduced restrictions. Around the world, lawmakers are debating whether these platforms should face tighter age verification rules and design limits. This trial is feeding that fire. The comparisons to tobacco are not random. In the 1990s, internal tobacco documents revealed that companies knew nicotine was addictive. They knew about cancer risks, yet publicly, they minimized it. Here, internal Meta documents show awareness of underage users and awareness of engagement metrics tied to growth. The question jurors are being asked is simple. Did Meta prioritize growth over safety?
Arguing that Meta and YouTube's platforms created a youth mental health crisis that forced them to spend millions on counseling, mental health resources, and crisis intervention.
Zuckerberg argues that if users were truly miserable, they would leave for competitors. He says the company has an incentive to create a good experience. That is his defense. But that logic assumes young users make fully informed, rational decisions about their own well-being. It assumes a 12-year-old scrolling through beauty-filtered images evaluates the situation like a market analyst. Is that realistic?
If they prevail, this means a lot of future payouts by social media and, well, quite a bit of liability for Mark Zuckerberg.
The core of the secret that has now been exposed is not that Instagram can be addictive. Everyone already suspected that. The secret is the internal awareness, the internal projections, the internal debates about time spent and youth engagement. The secret is that safety concerns were documented, yet engagement targets continued. And now that paper trail is public.
Today is the first time Zuckerberg has ever had to defend his company in front of a jury. Plaintiff's attorney Mark Lanier questioned him on Meta's strategy, pointing to a 2014 email where Zuckerberg said the amount of time users spent on his platforms.
Zuckerberg can say milestones are not goals. He can say kids lie about their age. He can say filters are about expression. But jurors are hearing numbers. 4 million underage users in 2015. Average time projected to rise from 40 to 46 minutes a day. More than 2,200 lawsuits waiting in line. Those numbers do not disappear because you rephrase them. That is why this feels different. That is why this moment feels larger than one courtroom in Los Angeles.